a knowledge in terms of now how you actually plant and you manage. And especially key also, one of the things I learned, critical, soil nutrition. So, you know, here sometimes we take our soil for granted, you know, you don't really, soil nutrition is extremely important. How healthy you keep the soil, you know, the nutrients that you take out, how do you put them back in there, the nitrogen and the other nutrients that you get out. And that's what people in these countries or in these societies where they have high rates of productivity, that's what they do. They invest a lot in soil nutrition, making sure that the soil is as nutritious as possible, so that when you plant your seed in there, you can get the maximum out of it. So a number of factors, some that are just related to production itself, some of them that are related to the logistics itself. Remember I was saying that here you have a small country like that, being a second biggest agriculture exporter in the world, and they are not even producing most of the stuff that they are selling, but they've just structured themselves in such a way that your pineapple can move from Chile, for example, this is an example, and it will move all the way to Amsterdam or whatever, and then from there you've got all this logistics infrastructure, and it will come in, it is sorted, repackaged, it goes out to another country. So the logistics, the cold chain, making sure that, you know, your produce doesn't get wasted along the way. Because you know here that a lot of the food that we have, one of the studies I read were saying that about 30% of our output, most of the time, it was being destroyed, what they called post-harvest losses. So you harvest, 30% of what you've harvested destroyed because you don't have proper storage. I mean, how many times have you heard maize is bought and it's soaked by rain? Poor storage, you see. Now, those are all the things that when you create your system, you think through the whole supply chain, starting from where you are producing, the research and development into your seed and your plant media and everything, the skills of production, the logistics infrastructure, the cold chain. So you configure the whole system to make sure that you are competitive in the world market. And that's what our friends have been doing. Brings me back to all the, you know, when we talk about and this great vision and this excitement that you always have, Pastor, which I appreciate about agriculture. But there's a lot of stuff that we have to do. And this average Zambian that you find, very hardworking people. When I get out in the morning, I'm driving and I find people busy with their hoes digging. Hardworking, right? But you see, there are a lot of pieces that you need to put in place. To make sure that the hard work of this person pays off. A lot of pieces.
Before we go further, Mr. Kalaluka, there is something during the conference that came out. I must say that, is it because Team Camnet or you speakers, you have too many papers under your jackets? But what came out mostly, and you can see when you came to speak, you didn't know what your other friends spoke about, right? And this speaker would come and just come from his angle. Those people who are watching right now, who attended the conference, they can tell you that it was mind-blowing. But one thing that I picked up is that Africa, let me zero it to Zambia, illiteracy yadikula sana. You know, when I say illiterates, somebody can go to university, somebody can have a PhD or what. It doesn't mean they have got the knowledge in agriculture. And somebody can be a member of parliament or a minister. It doesn't mean that they have it all. And what I gathered from you people speaking was that research and development is very important. Think of what Dr. Ambamba, Professor Ambamba said. Professor Munkum, Reda, all of you were zeroing down until Africa starts pumping money into research and development. We'll just be behind.
And you know, this is, as we go into a budget cycle, because now people are preparing for a budget, right? That's what you'd like to see. Okay, what rich countries do, interestingly, what the rich countries do is that they actually allocate money for research and development. And oftentimes, with research and development, it's public money. Governments put money in R&D, in research and development. So you can have private companies as well put in money. But oftentimes what you get is governments give the money for research and development to universities, so that these people now can undertake. Now there's what they call, you can talk about primary research and you can talk about applied research. Now primary research, there's a kind of research that people can just go about trying to find out about anything without even it having commercial value at that stage, because they create knowledge for the sake of knowledge. But it is from that higher level knowledge that you then now get the applied knowledge, because somebody else now comes and takes it and then applies it now to a business concept. We need to invest in that. Now, if you look at our typical budgets in the past, we've had a lot of money. If you look at agriculture, agriculture was taking a lot of money in this country. But what was the money going for? Most of the time, FISIP, these fertilizer subsidies. So you can have, and so sometimes you can put a lot of money into those things, and then you boast and say, we've got 3 million output. But if you look at your increase in production, it's not because there's a rise in productivity. And by productivity, then understand me. Productivity, basically, I'm trying to say that for your fixed input, what you are putting in, your output actually changes, it increases. Why? Because now you are doing what you are doing better than you were doing it before. So if you were putting, just as an example, hypothetically, if you were putting 4 bags of fertilizer in 1 hectare and producing 1.5 tons of 30 by 50 kilograms of maize, you still maintain that 4 bags, but because you are now producing better, you are doing it smarter. Instead of 30 bags, you now produce 50 or 60 bags. Then your productivity has gone up. Okay? And that is how even your standard of living goes up, because now you become richer. Because you are not spending more money to earn more, you are spending the same amount to earn more. And that comes from productivity, which comes from investing in research and development. And not just generating that knowledge and leaving it on the top, it's applying it. So you've got these universities. What they need to do when they generate that knowledge, they push it down. So then you've got, either you've got your vocational schools or you've got your farmers training centers. You know, in the past, in the NIP days, there used to be those FTCs, farmers training centers. So you have them right in the villages, in the community. So when you've done your research and you now know how to do something better, your spacing distances for your crops, the depth, you know, somebody came to me once, actually a Dutch lady who was doing a study for us on agri-hub study in Bala. So she came back, so I was getting a debrief before she left for Europe. And she says, Nkrumah, I'm shocked. The way you are planting and practicing agriculture here is like 200 years back.
Really?
Yes, 200. Even the way you are planting, you know, the broadcasting seed and whatever. She says, look, it's like 200 years back. It's shameful. But that's the thing, because starting from how you actually plant that seed, okay, how you apply the water, how you do all of those kind of like things. You know, but most of the time with your seeds, when you plant them and you pour water, a lot of how much of the seed just goes away, gets wasted because of the amount of water that is thrown on top. So all of those things with research and development. And the beauty is that we live in a global community, okay? So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Most of the things that we have to do right have already been done in other parts of the world. So all we have to do probably is to tweak them and adapt them and do them as well in a way that helps us to maximize our production and our productivity. So it starts from how do we prioritize when we're putting money? So are you going to put all your money in your budget, a lot of money just to go to buy fertilizer to give people? Or are you going to take a significant chunk of it and put it into research and development, put it into skills training? And we have to be smart about how we can leverage technologies even as well. Because we can leverage technology now as well to send some of these lessons to people. My mother, you know, is Jehovah's Witness. And it's interesting with COVID, with what happened with COVID, how she's always, they're attending services on Zoom. Okay? And I'm sure you're doing that with your children.
Yes.
On Zoom. Okay? This is an elderly person in her 70s on Zoom. Right? So, look, you've got a medium that you can use even to train people now. It means that a pastor can sit here, get a professor here, and the professor demonstrates how to plant, how to do what, and it's filmed. And the person in Lundazi, a good lady who I met the other day, came from Lundazi to the conference.
The old lady.
Yes, she can be watching that thing in Lundazi and be practicing how to plant. You see, so we can leverage technology and we can dispense and share this knowledge. And by sharing this knowledge, we then raise the productivity of our people. And by raising the productivity, we raise their incomes, we raise their standard of living, okay? And then, hopefully, we get this country to be the giant that it should be. Because it should be a giant. There's no reason why. I keep wondering why countries like Ukraine should be giants in the global agriculture market. Russia, I've been there and I know how severe their conditions can be, you know, and they can be giants in certain food crops globally, whether it's wheat. You know, when they decide sometimes to say we don't have enough food, so we are going to minimize our exports to the world, you notice there's a spike, there's a change in the world price. Because these are the countries that push out big quantities. But why should they be doing that? We can do it. But it's how you configure this. So I'm talking about all these pieces. And then us being more, you know, far-sighted, doing things much more systematically. Smarter, you know, doing the right things. That's what we need to do.
Why is it that we boast so much that we have got 500 hectares of land, whereas a Japanese or a Jew who have 10 hectares and still produce more than somebody who has 500 hectares of land?
This is interesting. You know, there was one country I asked somebody, I won't name the country, but I asked the size of the biggest commercial farm there. You know what they told me? 80 hectares. 80.
No.
80, yes. But you see, this is what I'm saying. I talked about the importance of productivity. It's about the yield. It's what you produce per hectare. That is what counts. Even milk, it's the same. You take a typical cow here. I was asking somebody, how many liters do you get from your cow when you milk it? How many liters? And go into other countries and you see the same thing. One cow, how many liters does somebody when they milk that cow? And it has a lot to do with the nutrition. So what you are feeding that, the grain that you are feeding, the water, you know, the temperature, a lot of things, even the stress. The stress of the animal affects the productivity of the animal. You know what I mean? So they think about all these variables. Even those milking machines that you use have got an effect. How you are milking has an effect on how much milk you take out. Yeah. So all of these things you've got to consider, and people are consistently, you know, you get into these universities and they're consistently playing around with feed formulations, trying to find, because there's, with livestock, for example, production, they talk about feed conversion ratios. So for every kg that animal is eating, then how much of that now translates into meat? So the feed conversion becomes very important. And then they think about all these things. And that then translates into the weight of that animal, okay? And that weight then translates into your income because you're getting your money per kilogram. But at the end of the day, it's productivity. So you have the whole issue of productivity, whether it is in livestock, whether it is in cropping, whatever you do, that is the important thing. I mean, it's just like even our jobs, Pastor. A person can go into the office and the whole day you are there, 8 hours, and you say, I'm very tired, I've been working. It's not okay. Because in 1 hour, in 1 hour, a person can do more than a person who has been sitting for 10 hours on a desk. Again, it's about productivity. And that's what we must be thinking about, even as a country. We must be thinking about the productivity of labor. Yeah. And so it cuts across. We started off with agriculture, but it cuts across. When you get people to work for results, and they're accountable for results. And it's a whole culture, you know. You get used to it because, you know, if I don't produce this, I don't get anything.
You know what is exciting, Mr. Kalaluka, is that what we began with, like, we are not going anywhere, this thing has become big.
Yeah.
I am so excited to know that by the grace of God, now we can safely say we have the international market.
Yeah.
We have the international market. For example, when we tell people, grow more things, I'll give you of the latest agriculture thing we announced in the conference. This market we have secured, it's not just for Hass avocado, but they want, in that country, they want the odd big avocados, because those ones, they come from Mexico. And Mexico, and Mexico, California used to do that, but because of the fires, there's shortage. Now those big, everyone is thinking Hass avocado, thinking Hass. And yet the same avocados in Mufrira, they are on demand on the international market, you know. So when I was told, Pastor Chiluba, can you load 5 containers per day? Now, even if I had the biggest farm, Mr. Kalaluka, can my wife and I manage even a 40-foot container? Can we manage per day? And that's where now we were saying, Zambians, please get involved. This country, Mr. Kalaluka, I'm still convinced this country is not poor. It's mismanaged, and also there is a lack of research and development, as you said. The technocrats there, they are not doing their best, because here we are, everyone boasts of agriculture having so many PhD holders, and they are just rotting there in the Ministry of Agriculture. The government has no budget for research. Put those doctors and say, what can we do? They will produce wonders. You know?
So you know, I've been, this whole question of a gap between reality and potential when it comes to this country is something that has exercised me for a long time. And one hypothesis, one way I think is that we probably are not very well organized.
We are not.
Because, you know, organization is everything. You know, even the research and development that I'm talking about, it happens within a context. And the context has to be organization. We have got to be organized. So you are talking, Pastor, for example, 5 containers in a day. And so let's assume each container is a 20-foot container, just a minimum, not a 40-foot container. And that 20-foot container is 20 tons, right? So you are being asked to load 100 tons a day, right? And that 100 tons, like you say, it does not necessarily have to be you alone. I was giving an example the other day. I said, look, when I was reading up avocado exports in Europe, I found that Israel was exporting at one point 44,000 metric tons of avocados into the UK, into Europe. Yes, 44,000 metric tons. So
and it was still not enough.
Yes, because they were, in total, they were buying 344,000 metric tons. So Israel was doing alone about 44,000 metric tons, and then they were getting from other countries as well. Now, look at the endowment. So a country like Israel, look at where it is coming from. Look at their scarcity of water. Look at how much work they have to do to nourish their soils. Basically, their input costs have to be far, far higher. Because of the conditions of the country, and yet still they can competitively export into the European market. Okay, we have had here in Zambia for a long time. You know, through AGOA, the American Growth and Opportunity Act, we had preferential access to American markets. Okay, so those avocados you are talking about, they fall then within that kind of context, which means that Zambia as an AGOA country would have had preference, the same way that Lesotho, and so they did a lot in the textile industry to exploit AGOA. We could have done a lot as well to exploit AGOA in certain selected value chains. Okay. Now, typically, when you export food items like that, fruit, horticulture, etc., there are stringent conditions. Okay. Some of them like health, phytosanitary, etc., etc. So you need to go through all these certifications that you need to have. And then, you know, those consumers in rich countries nowadays, they don't only look at the safety of the product, right? They are now also looking at environmental issues, social issues. Right. So they want to see, are you producing in an environmentally sustainable way? How are you treating your workers, etc., right? So now, the way that these value chains work and these supply chains work is that if somebody is buying from you, they want to be able to trace if that avocado is coming from Mufulira, from the source they want to see. What kind of production method? Did you use chemicals? Did you use what? Okay? All the way to the point of consumption. And for them to be assured, then they've come up with all these standards, global gap, all sorts of things. And we now have got to have those certifications in order to access those markets. Now, those certifications on their own are extremely expensive. Now, interestingly, when I was reading up, I found that in Kenya, for example, they have now Kenyan companies, a Kenyan company, I think the one I read about was called AfriSafe, but they are certifying. So instead of the Kenyan producers going to Europe to get those certifications, which are very expensive, they can get that certificate now from a Kenyan company, which is cheaper for them, which is why, probably explains why Kenya was one of the few, actually the only country that I saw, African country, exporting to the EU when I was looking at that list.
Can I tell you that actually the people we are in touch with, and one flew here, they want to bring international certifiers through Camnet TV. What you were just telling me is exactly what he said. He said, Pastor, it's not just a matter of getting avocados or fruits into America. They look at a lot of things. Every farm that will be an outgrower farm, they visit it. They see the worker, they have to analyze the soil, they have to analyze, there is a whole chain.
That's how it works, Pastor. So that's what I'm trying to, you see now, ideally, so how do we do it? Remember I was talking about organization. So how do we do it? Ideally, Camnet, for example, Camnet TV sets up a Camnet Foundation or Camnet Trust, which is just now the agro-business division of Camnet, right? Then Camnet, because with that foundation, now remember with that foundation, Camnet now foundation has got more access. Because you've got one advantage, Pastor. The advantage that you have is your visibility. Interestingly, I'll not mention who, but someone working in an embassy sent a message to my wife asking her what conference I was going to participate in. And my wife had no clue, so she was asking me, said, which conference? And then I found, anyway, it was a European embassy. It meant that I had been watching. Are you getting me? So you have a lot of visibility. So now, leverage that visibility, you set up your foundation, you've set up that foundation, you can easily access these donor funds or whoever, and say, look, for example, we want to build the internal capacity to begin certifying Zambian producers. So that this foreign company that comes, only comes to train you to now begin to be able to now be certifying.
But when you, that certification issue, I think we are almost halfway gone, because God willing, before the end of the year or early next year, the experts are flying into the country. You know why we are having these conferences, Mr. Kalauka? People think it's a joke. They attend a lot of agriculture, you know, conferences, you know. This is at another level, because like we said in the conference, every product that we brought out, or where we reviewed the people, what we offloaded to the people, it has got some international connection. I'll tell you what. As you are saying, you heard somebody calling from Italy, from Canada, US, and all these were coming through, and these are high-profile people. And the millionaires have gotten in touch with Camnet and we are on a very safe ground. I'm just taking it easy, like you say. Organization is very critical, because Pastor Victoria and I, yes, we have this vision, but this is why I'm surrounded by people like yourselves. Having 16 professors around you, there is a lot of safety.
Yeah, you're a super professor.
I'm a super professor.
But definitely, so we're on the right track, like I say. So what would be critical in this case, I think, is the knowledge transfer. You see, and I think that's where we Zambians have to be very smart about the knowledge transfer. So what we don't want is for people to come in and train us and go back and keep on coming to train us. What we need is to capture that knowledge. So then what you need to work on is now the absorption capacity, finding clever young people who, when these people come, they work with them. When they're doing the certification, the monitoring systems, evaluation system, etc. So we internalize that capacity. The way the Kenyans have created their own capacity for certifying horticulture products, we need to create that here. So it can become net that then becomes the one that certifies everybody else who needs to export from Zambia. And then you get paid for it. The only difference is that you do not charge like those guys who have to fly in and the cost is higher. You can charge at a lower price. But we need to build in that certification capability. So that is point number one. Point number two, it is within now the cabinet family to build now that agriculture extension capacity. Okay? So that, let's assume, for example, cabinet had 20 people who are paid. These can be agricultural graduates, okay? But then we give them some practical training, not a theory they just learn, right? So they are the ones now, their job is to go out in the field and practically help now the cabinet outgrowers, because those people who came to the conference, those are the cabinet outgrowers. Cabinet itself doesn't even have to be a grower. Cabinet can just be the integrator. And when it aggregates, puts it in the containers, it goes. So that our person in Lundazi doesn't have to bother about the marketing aspect. That auntie of mine in Lundazi should just concentrate on making sure that they are producing the right thing. And then cabinet actually is the one that makes sure that they've got the right seedlings. Because what I've noticed in this game, seedling quality is also important. So they are not all just getting their own thing. So you've got your nursery, you've got the right seedling, and that right seedling is getting to them. And then all the training, again, you've got your own extension stuff, and they're going there, making sure that those people are producing the way they're supposed to be. You know, all these chemicals, because we have to decide, are we going to go organic, for example? Because, you know, there's a premium. If you are doing organic stuff, the price is far higher than if you do other stuff. So you make a decision, are we going to go organic? And if that's what we're going to do, then making sure that those people are not using the things they're not supposed to use. Because remember, we've got, in that certification scheme, we've got that ability to monitor. And if they do the wrong things, and that product goes to the market, your reputation goes down. And we know that the customer that we have, so whether that customer is in Atlanta or is in London or wherever, that customer wants to have the right product, right quality, the right time. These supermarkets are very, very strict, the ones abroad. You have to have the volumes. When they tell you, we want 100 tons a day, you need to have. And one of the interesting things actually about this business is that sometimes, I remember once I dealt with a Dutch commodity trader. And one of the things they told me was that they needed, for them, they had a 365-day window in a year. Every 60. So every day, they had to be supplying their customers all over the world. So what he told me is that we're interested in Zambia because Zambia can fill up a certain, maybe let's say 3 months, it's productive, we are harvesting in Zambia. When that finishes, we use another country, What these guys want is simply that at the end of the day, they should be having the product through the time. Now, what does it mean? It means for Camnet, for example, if Camnet is contracted to supply these avocados, let's assume our season is 4 months in a year, 3 months in a year. The other times when Zambia doesn't have avocado, there's nothing that should stop Cabinet from going to Burundi and getting from Burundi and exporting through Zambia to the markets in America. You see what I mean? So the way these global value chains, that's how they work. That we have, and we are very fortunate being where we are, Zambia, surrounded. We usually say 8 countries. Now, when I met the Burundians, they said, no, we are your 9th neighbor. So 9 countries, right? Interestingly, when I went to Burundi, I found that the times when we don't have mangoes, they have mangoes. Their whole production window is different from ours. So you can even use those kind of countries, source from there when we are not producing, supply to your end market. And it's a win-win. They win, we win as well. So but the potential is huge.
I know, and I must submit to you, Mr. Kalaluka, that by the special grace of God, I am very happy, because where we began from, just 2.5 years ago, talking about this, where I'm sitting, I am very confident, because these same people, they, like we said, they are called sort houses.
Yes, sorting, yes.
Sorting,
yes.
That factory costs about $8.5 million. And sooner or later, Zambia will see one in Zambia, in here, where this is why we are saying Zambians get land. Time for us, Mr. Kalaluka. I can tell you, I've gone so deep in this that there is no Zambian who can say I'm poor. Once you have land. Because it's not just avocado. Think of the tomato which we are wasting. Each time I'm driving, Abape Nepachongo, Silveres, I see Fima tomato and women are languishing in the sun. Why not just go and park there and a truck? It's a giveaway. Park there, 2-ton truck, everything. Go to Katuba, park everything. Take them to the sort house. Here is the potential. And for a long time, Mr. Kalaluka, Zambians, we've been sleeping. Because my wife and I, together with you as a team, what we are putting together, and I'm saying, may God help us. Because, you know, one of the things that we are primitive at in Africa, Mr. Kalaluka, is when you start excelling and you are bringing ideas, if they can't bewitch you, they will just politically bring you down.
You say you want to be a president.
You say no. You are running for a constituency. They will bring you down. But this is where we are primitive at. And I like what Mr. Mpondela was doing. And the people who went out, 3 or 4 people said, Pastor Chuba, what Mr. Mpondela said, it has hit my mind. You know Mr. Mpondela, during the conference, he said, welcome to the temple of knowledge. Cabinet TV and come the Team Zambia. The temple of knowledge. And these people were just saying, Pastor Chuba, I think this is the way to go. Because what they heard from you professionals, it just opens someone's mind. And in Africa, Mumoneka Keneka 1,000, Tuale charge 1,500, someone thinks that's a lot of money. The information you are offloading.
And that's what you see people in other countries. They travel abroad. You follow. They say, no, Pastor Chilwa is speaking in London today. They follow you. Because they know what to get. But it's not only what they came to get that day when we were talking, it's also the networking opportunity. And that's what people, you know, the bigger value that you get is from knowing people. Me knowing you can open up much more for me.
It has opened.
Yes, that's what life is. So for networking alone is a huge opportunity. That is worth investing in. So sometimes you attend those events, even if you may so have heard that person speak before, but you go there and you are meeting people you've never met before. Or sometimes you go and you get a perspective that you may not have have heard before. It's a way for our investment. So for those who did come and for those who are still reaching like this, definitely kudos. But like I said, Pastor, the key thing, nailing these things down is definitely organization. And also people being able to, we all must accept that alone there's a limit to what you can do. Together you can achieve much. And that us Africans, us Zambians have to begin to trust each other. We have to accept that we cannot excel alone. We have to work with each other, because the moment you just, if you want to just hold things to yourself, there's a limit to what you're going to achieve. So what you are trying to do definitely opens up a lot of doors for people. And like I've said, I don't really, when I look at CAMNET, if you visualize it, it can simply be an aggregator. It can be like a commodity trader, because CAMNET has got the market interface. CAMNET is the one that is globally, so you're in a sweet spot. Globally, you've got all the connections with the potential buyers. Locally, you've got all the connections with the potential producers. And so you're in the middle. This is what I call a sweet spot. And this thing succeeds or fails, depending on how then CAMNET configures the whole thing. Everyone has to put in their best, but it's really that organizational aspect now. But I see the potential, because you see the challenge, and I think oftentimes here we fail because we look to government all the time. So what are you going to do? If government doesn't come today and give me a road, am I just going to sit and wait and complain until that happens? No, I think it's far better to start doing something. In fact, with what is happening now, government will come running to you. Because you are practically doing something that alleviates poverty. And we're not talking, I hate the word poverty alleviation, actually. I want eradication. I want wealth. I want Zambia to be rich. In fact, that word rich is something that should be in our vocabulary. You get what I mean? When the Chinese started their reforms and Deng Xiaoping started the reforms in China, he said, look, he said it is not a crime to be rich. You see what I mean? I like he said it is not a crime to be rich. So even the vocabulary, he said, Deng Xiaoping, he said it is not a crime to be rich. So what we're talking about here, I don't even want a word alleviation, because you alleviate, you are still poor. You are just maybe moving from 0 meal to 1 meal a day. No. I want you to have your surplus money, so that with your surplus money, when you've had all your meals, you can then say, okay, you know what, I need to gain a little bit of exposure. Let me get on a bus today and go somewhere else to see what is happening. Tomorrow, let me get on a plane. There should be no limit to where we go. The only thing that limits us is our imagination. And I think that you've shown that power of imagination to visualize and to think about this thing. And now really I think the challenge is for all of us to see how do we put this forward. But like I've said, everyone has to chip in. So the farmer on the ground has to make sure they work hard. And you know, farming is something that requires discipline. You see, it's different. Where I come from, we were living on the lake shore. You know, people used to go in the evening to catch fish. In the morning, when they catch the fish, they sell. And they had money and they were drinking. In the evening, again, they go in the water. You see, now the fish is finished. There's practically no fish in Lake Tanganyika. It's finished. People are struggling. You find boats just moving around. There's no fish left. But you see now, if you now get people now to transition now to have a discipline to become farmers, farming requires patience. Because you don't make money in one day. I mean, typically, if you are going to plant your fruit, for example, your avocado, how long is it going to take you before you start harvesting? So you need to have a discipline, you need to have a patience. But I like what that discipline and what that patience does to you, because we know, Pastor, you and I know that real wealth and real success, it comes through discipline and hard work. Yeah. So what we can say then is that for those who are going to be on the interface, the ones who are going to be farming, they have to understand this is something that you invest in. You have to be patient. You have to work hard. The rewards are there, but you have to invest, and you have to invest your time, your patience, your passion even, for you to do things right.
You know, Dr. Reda, Mr. Kalaluka, likes saying to me, Pastor Chova, please don't introduce me to lazy Zambians. He says, when you bring people to me, they must be hardworking. He doesn't like people who talk. And one thing he says is, Zambians, you talk a lot and acting little, because if all of us, we were putting in, like you were saying, Mr. Kalu, this nation can change. I've given myself 5 years. When I say myself, my wife and I have gotten into a farm, and by the grace of God, people think it's a joke. Just this afternoon, Professor Munkumba, his wife, my wife, and myself, we drove to that place, and we were just enjoying the presence of God. Now, like you are saying, that to be rich is not a crime.
Yeah.
Here is something that I want to demonstrate to the people of Zambia. With your technical know-how, all of you scientists, you are starting on my farm. You know, it's becoming a practical field for you people to tell me. Just this week, I'm taking the soil to Mount Makulu.
Very good.
You know,
so sample analysis,
yeah, I'm going to get the expert. They're coming to sample the whole field, because that issue of just saying we can
you see,
I can't afford that.
and that is exactly like I was saying. The soil nutrition is important. So you start with the soil sample analysis. So we sample, and they're saying, look, this is the acidity level. This is, if you need to put lime, you need to do this, and this is the crop. If you want this crop, this is how much you should put in terms of nourishing it. Very good way to begin. Now think about it. How many of our people out there, hardworking people, how many of them even know that this is what they need to do? And even when we've had an extension system and we've said we've got extension, this hasn't been done before. So if we are having a national budget and we are saying, look, X amount of this budget is just going to enable us, help people also to go and sample their soil. You see what I mean? Because really, we need to be able, like the way you are doing, we need to be able to do this thing. And you know the equipment. I once brought, we had a trade mission, Dutch trade mission here, and I've forgotten the name of that company. They're also based in Nairobi, a Dutch company. And they had a very small soil testing machine, very portable one. You don't even need to go to Mount Makuru. A small portable machine, somebody, the same way that we can test ourselves for COVID in your house, you know, with this rapid thing. So a small thing that you just move with. If you are in a field in Kaya, whatever, somebody's just there, you just book them that day, and they're just taking samples, and they just tell you this is the depth, how you should dig, and they test, and they give you a report. And the report comes out, it's like in a counter, you know that thing when you type in and you buy something and it comes out, a thin thing. It's there, they show you, this is the acidity, the pH level is this, whatever, and this is it. Very simple. That we can then say systematically. We brought those guys here, we had the trade mission, and I took them to Chisamba, what is that, Agritech. So at one point I brought 20 Dutch companies and went to there. One of them actually had that machine. That you could have then said, look, even if eventually now, let's say, for example, Camnet and the Camnet Foundation says, look, we've got 500 farmers we're working with. Well, get that machine. And I think it was maybe $10,000 somewhere there. So now, if I look at all the fancy cars that we Zambians drive, $10,000 is nothing. To invest in a machine like that.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Kalaluk, just give me the address, give me the contact. I would rather sell everything I have, vehicles, including dogs. I can sell them to Chinese. You know, they eat. So I would rather sell
invest,
everything.
And you know, people pay for that service. So even the money can even come back.
Because as you saw, we had that old lady also from Chadiza, our auntie there. She's always attending our conference. Always. She came to government. She came here with her daughter. She's over 80. But she still believes she was born for greatness. And we've had the people now who have attended all the 3 conferences, 4 conferences actually. And when we finish, They said, Pastor, when is the next one?
Yes,
I said, it's too early. It's too
These are serious people.
I'm telling you. Because, Mr. Kalaluka, put it this way. The knowledge I now have, someday someone will be shocked to say, is this a John Howard material that is producing
Very
this?
powerful.
Somebody will be shocked. And like you said, I like the word you used. If there are people that are patient on certain projects, my wife and I am not a 10-year planner. I look at 50, 60 years. You know, right now I'm 61. On the 14th of October, I'll be celebrating 61. But I'm looking 60, 70 years from now. This is
that's the perspective.
You know, because I'm looking at my grandchildren. You know.
That is the perspective that we have all got to embrace. That you start a journey, and sometimes, you know, I'm reading the biography now. Actually, bought it for my son, for Malcolm X. The Dead Are Rising. So I bought for my son. Now, before he starts reading it, so I thought, let me just go through. Now, when you look at the people who started the struggle in Black America, Marcus Garvey, William Du Bois, it was a long time ago. Now, to think that now you can have a vice president, a black person, that Kamala Harris, and before her, Obama had. You know where that struggle started. So when you start reading that, that's when you realize people did a lot of things a long time ago. But that's the thing. If you get into a struggle, you're not looking at me. Yes, you might. But some of these things, you do them, they will ripen and they will happen later on. You've set a foundation. So this foundation, maybe one day we say that Zambia is a global power in food production. They might trace it to you and to John Howard. Like you said.
To John Howard.
Because the vision started somewhere.
But
and I'm glad with the way you are proudly identifying where it came from. Because that's where it's border. You know, sometimes a lot of us Zambians have this attitude. When you succeed, you even want to hide. No. Why? You see, this is what Americans do different. They are proud. The American guy even proud and say, no, I actually came from Harlem. And this is what I've done. Because that shows your greatness. And for all of us, it even inspires us more. Because then you say, so if he could have done it, then how about me? What excuse do I have not to do it?
No, I can tell you, Mr. Kalaluka, we are so deep. Maybe let me ask my director to show the people the President of the Republic of Zambia, Minister of Agriculture, and all of you that are in top positions. During this conference that we had, I looked, Mr. Kalaluka, at the drip irrigations that are found in Zambia from some countries. And I said, this can't be. You are stealing from our people. These drip irrigations are so expensive. But you know that Egypt being what they are, those guys with technology, I can tell you, they've developed one drip irrigation, round and flat, which can go for 8 years. So every season, you just remove that. And when I looked at that, I had to call the owners and the factory. They wanted to come. They've invested this drip irrigation in some country. Zambia, this southern side, will be the first to have it. In fact, tomorrow, they are flying to Nairobi. They just came here, and I want to thank God for the Chief Immigration Officer, Dr. Zulu, because Lungu, he just said, Pastor, write me a letter. Are you sure they are not criminals, Al-Qaeda? I said, no, they are not. He said, write me a letter. I wrote to him. The following day, he approved it. And they flew in, same day actually, they flew in. Now, people have no idea that this is an opportunity Zambia cannot miss. This drip irrigation, Mr. Kalaluka, are cheap. Secondly, they are durable. I'm taking them to my farm because, like Reda says and everyone, he says, Pastor, Unless otherwise, you don't need a center pivot.
No. Those are very inefficient.
That's a sheer waste of water.
Yeah, very inefficient.
Says go to Israel.
Yeah.
Come to Egypt.
Yeah.
It's drip irrigation now.
No.
You bring automated one. It will do the job, and you have more yield.
Yeah.
I don't know why we like.
But you see where very interesting. Why you talk about Egypt and talk about Israel, it's scarcity. Scarcity. You see, because you know that Egypt right now, they are almost going to war with Ethiopia over water, the River Nile. Yes.
Yeah, I hear that.
Okay. There's a big problem with Sudan, with Ethiopia, over there. So those people deal with these things. It's scarcity. They know how. So that's why you can't afford. If your center pivot is moving like this, it's pouring water even where there's no plant. Are you getting? It's just moving like this. Very inefficient. So with that drip, you are just putting it right. Precision and the right quantities. And it's even then more productive. Remember, we're talking about productivity. More productive because you are putting the amount of water you need, the right quantity, and you are not wasting. Scarcity. So maybe here we become too spoiled because things are too easy. You know, the rain just starts. We are not even harvesting our rainwater. You can harvest this rainwater. You can harvest it. The water being in Northern Province, what do we get? Over 1,000 millimeters every year of rainfall. That's a lot of water that you can harvest and use it for your house or for other things. You see, look at, have you noticed how much water a waterborne toilet uses? If you just notice, if you are not flushing, you use a bucket to pour in there. How many buckets you use? It's terrible. And yet you can recycle that water. You know that you can basically recycle your sewage to the point where the water is even reusable. But we are just wasting because there's too much.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Kalaluka, you being an economist, you understand these things. But, you know, I was also blown when I think one professor was saying Zambia receives 160 billion cubic meters of liters of water per year. And 100 billion just flows to the ocean. We only use 60 billion. Now, when you look at that mathematics, it's quite challenging. As we were coming with Professor Munkumba and his wife, Professor was saying, we crossed certain streams which are dry. And he said, you know, Pastor Chiluba, we can, what word did you use to trap the water?
To dam it? Yes, to harvest it, yes.
Harvest. He said, you see, on this river, stream, you can harvest the water. That stream, you can harvest the water. The water that comes through here. And I'm now looking at some scientists to come with me so that even the villagers there, everyone benefits.
But you see, once I sank a well. So before doing a borehole, I sank a well. And so this guy went to, like, because it was drying up, so he went and dug. So then I went to check. I said, have you? He said, oh, I have managed. Now there's water again. So he pulls out the water. He says, look, there's water. And he pours it just where, you know, like where there is. And I said, why you pour it back in? He says, no, there's enough. Just pouring it like that. You see where the problem comes. I tell you, I have got to a point in my life where I cherish these things. Okay? Where I live completely off grid. I don't use Zesco. I don't have Zesco. I use solar. So I'm very mindful, okay? So in the house, if there's no, you know, you turn off a light. You know when to charge your gadget. You know, you optimize at every given time. You don't take anything for granted. And that's how I've come to learn to appreciate things. Because sometimes when we have things in abundance, we take... I mean, look at the last few years how we suffered with these Zesco blackouts. Just look how we suffered. Where we lost about, what was it, 600 megawatts of power? Absolutely. We suffered. And look at how that affected our productivity, our economic output. Just look at how that affected us. I mean, look at some neighborhoods, just how they suffer with water, even now. Even now, how they suffer with water, insufficient water. And yet, we still don't have that tendency. We don't care. So the Egyptians, that I digressed a little bit, but I was saying, what made the Egyptians innovative to begin to do the things you're talking about is scarcity. You know what they talk about suffering? They say that suffering can make you wise.
Even so, in November, yes, we are saying at Ubuchushi,
yes, So the problem now that we've had is because sometimes when you just sit and the mango drops on you, poof, it just drops on you. You never even planted it. You see? And that is what has made us sometimes. So maybe, I just hope that now we've reached this phase in our lives where we don't take things for granted and where we value the little that we have. We make the most of it, even and including attending conferences such as yours, Pastor, even including me sitting here with you like this, that every opportunity we take it, we have to cherish it and use it to the maximum. Yeah.
No, I'm so grateful. Mr. Director, please give us the clip of the Egyptians. All of you Zambians, farmers, please contact Cabinet, because once we come together and once, forget about which church you go to, which province you come from, Cabinet TV is not just another channel. All we want is to make sure that you are safe. You know, Mr. Karoka, before they give us a clip, when I began telling the church members that I don't want poor people in our church.
That was very radical.
Absolutely. I said, I don't want poor people. And I don't want me as your pastor to be preaching messages of frustration. If you don't tithe, you go to hell. I have said that this church, I want to set history where, Professor, you can imagine we have looked for land for every church member.
Yes.
You get land. Because some people are not understanding what my wife and I are saying, and Zambians don't know the value of land. I can tell you that. Zambians, you find your muntu balemu at Kurufunsa, go and get land, Kuchipata, and you say that far. But I want to change the way people think. Now, when we got these Egyptians, as I sat down with them there, I said, you are beginning with our church members and Team Cabinet, the Team Zambia, which God is helping us to put together. I can tell you, Mr. Kalalukal, I like what you said. We can't wait for the government to come and give us instruction. The government to come and say, put on your mask, sanitize, things which are obvious. There is no way. Team Cabinet, Team Zambia. We are calling it Team Zambia because Zambia, we are a family. Let's look at this clip of the Egyptians. God bless you.
Good evening, my beloved Zambian citizens, in particular Zambian farmers. I'm Professor Dr. Rida, the project manager of Zambia-Egypt Joint Farm. And this project in collaboration between the government of Egypt and the government of Zambia. Our partner is the Minister of Home Affairs represented by the Correctional Service. And we are here to introduce the new technologies for agriculture, as well as the new varieties and hybrids, and the new techniques and tactics and the strategy for the market for the agricultural product in Zambia. However, it was my pleasure to share in the Cabinet agribusiness conference that has been held in the 1st and the 2nd of October here in Zambia. This conference is initiated by Camnet TV, and it is a great pleasure to be part of this team that is sharing for pulling the agriculture sector development in Zambia. One of the main technologies that it is very needed in Zambia, especially for the agriculture sector, is the irrigation systems. And also we have here our colleagues coming from Egypt to share in the same conference to introduce those types of new irrigation system technologies. And now I'm gonna ask kindly my colleague to introduce himself and to tell us some words about the activities that they are doing. So welcome to Zambia.
Thank you, Professor Rida. I am Mohammed Al-Sharif. I am the Executive Director of Nakhil. We mainly produce the drip lines, both types, flat one and the round one. We also produce the 16 millimeters accessories for both. We have another company, our sister company, it's called Mega Green, for PVC products like valves, connectors, and fittings.
Yeah, that's great. So you are here mainly to share in this conference, and you have already shared in that conference. What is your impression about the activities that went through the conference?
First of all, I would like to thank you and thank us for Camnet TV to invite me attending in the conference, in Camnet TV conference for agribusiness. It was my first time to be here in Zambia, and I was lucky to be in that conference. Honestly, I was surprised that Zambia has a lot of lands and a lot of
opportunities, you mean?
Yes, and honestly, it's a very good country to share our new technology, because I think it's the time that Zambian citizen has this technology to have the crops and
to start. You mean to start adding more values for them?
Exactly, because the agriculture now doesn't work like season and season.
Oh, yeah.
You should work and grow and aggregate your land annual, all the season.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to have this technology here in Zambia, because it's very old in other countries, and I don't think there is any reason to be not here. The facilities is available. The annoyance of the new technology they asking for, they have knowledge, they start to convert in some areas. So I think it's have to be here.
So in conclusion, you are saying that Zambia has a lot of opportunities,
yes,
and also a lot of chances that can, when the people started to apply the irrigation system, they
exactly.
can start to plant their land at least twice or 3 times per year instead of depending only on the rain season.
Exactly.
And this will add more value and will add more production to Zambian citizens, which will reflect on their life welfare.
Yes.
And I remember in the short movie or short video that you have presented in your presentation there in that conference, and how the people here in Zambia were enthusiastic to have and to receive this technology of drip irrigation, especially, and the other type of irrigation system. In fact, one of the goal that Zambia Egypt has the joint venture from here is to share this technology and to transfer and to share the experience between the two countries. Since we are one Africa, one nation,
yes.
This is our slogan in the farm also. And like I was mentioning also before, in the farm we have this learning by practice techniques. And we have also applied those type of irrigation systems that imported from Egypt, and it is available there, and every Zambian citizen can access to the farm and to see by himself how efficient is the irrigation system, and how efficient can and how easy can install that type of irrigation system. We are also qualifying the Zambian teams to be able to work in this field later on once this technology is settled here in Zambia. Really, I would like again to thank you, Mr. Mohammed, for being here, for being part of the CAMNET TV team and members. And also would like to thank Pastor Shloba and Pastor Victoria for giving us this opportunity to be here in this forum and in this conference to share our technology with our beloved brothers and sisters as Zambian citizens. And Egypt is really all the time through the Egyptian embassy and through the Zambia-Egypt Joint Farm, and of course under the umbrella of the Correction Service and CAMNET TV, to provide any type of information needed for any Zambian citizen whenever he decides. And I'm sure together we will make a lot, and we will pull the agriculture sector to be developed as it's supposed to be in Zambia. Our second, or for me, I consider it's our beloved.
يواجه كوكبنا خطرا بالغا في التغير المناخي. يواجه كوكبنا خطرا بالغا في التغير المناخي. ندرة المياه، حيث من المتوقع أن يعاني 60% من سكان العالم من ندرة المياه، وهذا يضع الإنسان والأرض الزراعية تحت التهديد. إيمانا منا بالمسؤولية في مواجهة مشكلة ندرة المياه التي أصبحت من أولويات دول العالم اليوم، فقد قررت شركة النخيل في عام 2011 بدء التحدي وبناء صرحها الصناعي الضخم لإنتاج أنظمة الري الحديثة، وخاصة تصنيع خراطيم الري بالتنقيط بأحدث التقنيات العالمية الصديقة للبيئة والموفرة للطاقة، بما يتناسب مع متطلبات الزراعة الحديثة والتصدي لمشكلة ندرة المياه، وأن تصبح الاختيار الأول للعملاء محليا وعالميا من خلال منظومة عمل متكاملة تبدأ من مرحلة التصنيع والإنتاج وصولا إلى خدمة ما بعد البيع، من خلال تقييم دائم ومستمر لمنتجات الشركة للوصول للهدف المحدد منذ البداية، وهو المسؤولية والتميز والتنمية من أجل مستقبل أفضل. منذ بداية تأسيسنا ونحن نحرص على تحقيق أعلى جودة إنتاج ممكنة، حيث عمل مؤسسي الشركة على دراسة مراحل تطور تصنيع خراطيم الري محليا وعالميا، ولذلك حرصنا على تقديم منتجات عالية الجودة وتطبيق التقدم التكنولوجي المستمر في صناعة خراطيم الري الحديث انطلاقا نحو التميز. ونتيجة للعمل الجاد والدقيق ولما تتميز به منتجات النخيل من جودة عالية متوافقة مع المعايير الدولية وأسعار تنافسية والالتزام بمواعيد التسليم، فعليه احتلت منتجاتنا الصدارة في مجال الري، وأصبحت الشركة من أكثر الشركات الموثوقة في مجال التصدير على مستوى الشرق الأوسط وأفريقيا. فعلى مستوى الدول العربية اكتسبت النخيل ثقة الكثير من عملاء تلك الأسواق. إن نظام الري بالتنقيط قد أصبح الوسيلة الأكثر نفعاً والأقل تكلفة في مجال الزراعة الحديثة، فهو يمكننا بشكل كبير من تجاوز أزمة ندرة المياه، وهو هدفنا الأول منذ البداية، وتكاتفاً مع قرار مجلس الوزراء وجهود الدولة المبذولة لتطبيق منظومة الري الحديث التي تعتمد على استبدال الري بالغمر بنظم الري الحديث بالوادي والدلتا، وذلك بهدف ترشيد استخدام المياه في الزراعة المرورية. فعليه فإن شركة النخيل توفر وتنتج جميع منتجات الري بالتنقيط ومستلزمات الزراعة الحديثة عالية الجودة، وهي خراطيم الري الفلات المتميزة به وصاحبة السبق في إدخاله السوق المصري والنقاطات المستخدمة لها، خراطيم الري الGR ذاتية التنقيط المنظمة للضغط، خراطيم الري الGR ذاتية التنقيط الغير منظمة للضغط، النقاطات بنوعيها، محابس الUPVC ومجموعة متنوعة من الوصلات والقطع المستخدمة في شبكات الري الحديث. تمكنت شركة النخيل من إحداث طفرة عالمية في مجال الصناعة باستخدام أحدث الوسائل والاختبارات العالمية لتقديم منتج مطابق لمعايير الجودة. فباستخدام أحدث التقنيات العالمية يتم تصنيع خرطوم النخيل من مادة البولي إيثيلين منخفض الكثافة، مما يضمن طول العمر الافتراضي له ومطابقته للمواصفات القياسية العالمية المعتمدة من القسم الأمريكي للجمعية الدولية لاختبار المواد الخام أو ما يعادله، والذي يمر بمراحل التصنيع الآتية: مرحلة البثق، ويتم فيها بثق المواد البلاستيكية المختبرة عالية الجودة خلال أجزاء خط الإنتاج، ثم مرحلة السحب والتشكيل، ويتم فيها سحب المواد البلاستيكية عالية الجودة وتشكيلها على شكل خراطيم ووضع القطارات فيها. مرحلة معايرة القطر، يتم من خلال هذه المرحلة قياس ومعايرة القطر المطلوب للخرطوم وضبطه بأحدث وأدق أساليب المعايرة المطابقة للمواصفات القياسية العالمية. مرحلة التبريد، ويتم فيها عملية تبريد الخرطوم الذي تم تشكيله. مرحلة التثقيب، وفيها يتم ثقب الخرطوم في 4 أماكن مختلفة بدقة متناهية. مرحلة اللف والتعبئة، حيث يتم في هذه المرحلة لف الخرطوم على شكل بكرة كبيرة وتعبئتها أوتوماتيكيا، مما يساعد شركة النخيل في تحقيق أعلى معدلات الكفاءة ورفع نسبة الوقت المستفاد حتى 98%، بالإضافة إلى تحقيق أعلى معدلات التوافق مع اشتراطات الحفاظ على البيئة وسلامة العاملين. لا يقتصر دورنا على تصنيع الخراطيم، وإنما توفر الشركة لعملائها الوصلات والقطع والمستلزمات 16 ملم والمحابس والوصلات الUPVC بجودة أوروبية حصرية تضمن كفاءة الشبكة الزراعية. تم بناء جسر ثقة بيننا وبين عملائنا عن طريق تقديم خدماتنا بطرق مختلفة وفعالة، من خلال تقديم الاستشارات والدعم الفني والهندسي للعملاء. فنحن لسنا فقط منتجون ومصدرون، وإنما مستشارون أيضا، لأن هدفنا الأول دائما هو تحقيق أقصى استفادة ممكنة ورضاء عملائنا. كل ما تحتاجه من مستلزمات أنظمة الري الحديث نوفره لك بأفضل جودة للمواصفات المصرية والعالمية. إن توفير المياه مسؤولية نتقاسمها جميعا، ونستمر بإرادة وعزيمة أن تصبح لصناعتها أثر كبير وفارق في ترشيد استهلاك المياه للوصول للهدف المحدد منذ البداية، وهو المسؤولية والتميز والتنمية من أجل مستقبل أفضل. النخيل، عمالقة صناعة الري بالتنقيط.
There you are, Mr. Kalaluka. This technology is now in Zambia.
Thanks to Camnet.
Through Camnet. You know, we are very passionate, just like you people who were speaking, you know, just the passion. And I wish, like, before the conference, I would tell my wife that I wish all Zambians can attend this conference. But the people who have gone out of this conference, and each conference we hold, somebody says, you know, Pastor, people who look at money, they are losing a lot, because the amount you are charging us to the knowledge that we are offloading, and like you said, the connection, it's too big.
Networks, yeah.
The network, yeah. In fact, my wife just sent me a message. I was talking about the houses. She just said, honey, it's pack houses. You call them pack houses.
Yes.
And by the special grace of God, we would like to bring to Zambia this. I have every confidence that God willing, this year and next year we should be talking about such things. $8.5 million investment, because the way I'm looking at this, Mr. Kalaluka, for me, my mind works fast, and I don't like thinking at this level. I think at a level where if somebody finds me around at where will he get this money from? But, you know, Mr. Kalaluka, look at this connection.
Yeah.
This is a big factory in the world, drip irrigation. But we connected through Camnet.
Yeah.
And there are many connections we have put in place that we just want Zambia to benefit.
Very good, very good.
So your teachings is not in vain.
Not in vain.
Those center pivots, Mr. Kalaluka, they are expensive as compared to the drip irrigation. This is what I'm knowing. Yeah,
and it's the, like we said, also the efficiency. You know, if so you are not wasting water with this drip is precise, as opposed to systems that are inefficient, waste water. So this makes a lot of sense.
And as you saw, these people have got a system where if you want to put fertilizer, you don't have to go and put, you just feed it from the source. Whatever chemical you want to apply from the source, it goes through drip irrigation. It solves you a lot of problems, you know. Well, dear Camnet TV family, we are here with Mr. Kalaluka. You are free to phone and ask for the drip irrigation. Should you say, Pastor Chiluba, I want the drip irrigation of the people that we are going to be supplying to, who are getting this system for the first time in Zambia, you be part of it, and we will give you the details. But I can assure you, these drip irrigations you buy, every 1-2 seasons, you have to remove them. If you are going to be changing crops, you are going to be changing the produce, you have to remove them, pack them again, set them again, remove. This is the way to go. 5-8 years, you are sorted. And we are so grateful to God for these Egyptians. As you said, Mr. Kalaluka, that you know, I met the scientist. The scientist, in fact, the other day I saw him on the photo with the Reda.
Yeah.
Just 2 weeks ago, they were with the president of Zanzibar. Yeah, Zanzibar's there. This scientist is one of the top scientists in Egypt who have created the solar generator, which is exporting power into Europe. This is one of the biggest. So I said, why are you sending to Europe? Can't you also create one in Zambia? They say, Pastor, tell us, as we can come. I don't know what ministers, sometimes So you go to Nokupachi, Vikwatina you are applying for the PS office when actually you just want to help your country. It's, hello, let's pick up this call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Pastor. How are you?
Permanently blessed, highly favored. How are you, sir?
I am fine. This is Mr. Lingesu Robin from Livingston.
Mr.
Lingesu?
Lingesu.
Yes, from Livingston.
Please go ahead and speak to the world.
Good evening, Mr. Kalatuka.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes. Okay. You see, what you always talk about is very good.
Yes.
Even what you have articulated, Mr. Kalaluka, that is very wonderful. Universities must be engaged in research, not what they are doing all the time opposing government, all the time talking about the food allowances. No. Look at the problem that we have in Western Province about the CPP that has been killing our animals in Western Province. Since unity, there is no university graduate who has ever produced even a vaccine or a cure for that CPP. Then why do we have university? It's useless. Then when it comes to this agriculture that you are talking about, we must not only talk, but we must be practical.
Absolutely.
Zambia, at this point in time, if we were very innovative some 20 years ago, we will not be in the position of borrowing, begging money from IMF. Because we have got the nearest market here, the DRC. If we just grow soybeans, we just grow maize, we can make a lot of dollars from the DRC. A lot of maize comes from South Africa and enters DRC. That's new in Lusaka. But what are we doing? Well, what we need to do, sir, is to have revolutionary leaders. We must have revolutionary leaders, political leaders, that can begin to think in the agriculture that can bring in the much needed foreign exchange. Besides what you have spoken about avocado and so on, exporting in the European market, we can start by exporting our own abundant maize and soybeans that we grow extensively to DRC and make money. But now, we need revolutionary political leaders to do this in agriculture. Not just talking. If there is no result, we shall continue borrowing. We shall continue begging. I think let me end there. May God bless you. May God bless you. Mr. Kalaluka, my friends, I thank you that you are able to articulate. I wish you that the Minister of Finance now. God bless you.
Thank you.
You see, Mr. Lingesu has just created a problem for you. Next time you go to the Minister of Finance, they'll say, oh, you are there. That's how Zambia thinks. But no, seriously, have you heard what he has said?
Yeah.
About that we have no need to borrow from IMF.
No, that's true. You know, we are too rich to borrow.
I like that.
We are too rich to borrow. In fact, sometimes just putting yourself in a position of a borrower or a beggar, you undermine your potential. You know, you undermine your potential. I remember there was one country at one point, an Asian country, that applied to join the OECD, the organization, you know, for rich countries, the OECD. So they applied to join, and they were not yet rich. And the others were critical. They said, why do they want to join? They said they wanted to join because just the psychology of being with rich people can also make you rich. if you are going to be with people who are poor, you're also going to be
Absolutely.
by association. So they wanted to join the OECD. And sometimes you see, you have to be very careful. If you are going to borrow, if you are going to beg, do it strategically so that you don't go back. Okay? If you are going to get knowledge from somebody, use it so that you don't go back to them again. That is my thinking. And that's why even when you're talking about a certification or people coming back, I said immediately, let us mobilize people here so they suck that knowledge so that we create that capacity here to actually do the certification. Because if we're not careful, we keep going back. And you know, sometimes the way these things are structured, they will structure it in such a way that you keep on going back. You see what I mean?
Like
it becomes, like, yes, it becomes like a drag. You keep going back. So you have to be careful. So we have to strategically win ourselves so that we are equal partners.
Mr. Lingeso has brought the issue of saying that just Congo here.
Yes. I have been to Katanga, I've been to Lumbashi, I've been to Eastern DRC, starting down from Moba, so that's on the Tanganyika. I've been to Kalemi, I've been to Kalundu, up to Vira. I've seen the potential. $10 a chicken. $10. 10 US dollars a live chicken. I saw it in Kalemi.
You take me after this conference. Let's pick up the call. Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
This is
Mr. Mr. who? Sani, go ahead and speak to the nation. That's my son in chief.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I think I'm enjoying the program. It's very informative. I also just want to thank Mr. Kalaluka
Thank you.
for the information that he's sharing. I think I just have to also announce my availability as being part of the cabinet family because I'm a trained food safety auditor. So in terms of certification and all the ISO 22000, all the food safety certifications basically.
Very good.
I think for me it's very interesting, and when Mr. Kaluka touched on that, it's like he touched my very interesting area of my career.
Very good.
I think I must suffice to mention that I think I got certification for, I helped get certification, one of the largest companies in Zambia. I won't mention the name for now, but I should mention, I'm available if anything comes up, just for us to work together as a family.
Very good.
Team Zambia, Team Cabinet, very much ready. Certification, I think I understand that field quite well. I was trained by DNV and also some of the Kenyan auditors.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, this is one of the areas. So, I normally just watch it, but because Mr. Kaluka touched on certification, and it's a field that I really enjoy.
Very good.
I've got a couple of group of friends that also understand certification.
Oh.
So it's something that we put.
So we have the know-how.
And what I can help our country.
Very good.
Because most of the time, these are things we take for granted, but they are very key.
Yes.
Some of the important requirements that people neglect, even on labeling. There are things that you cannot just put on a label, maybe using such words as fresh.
Yeah.
Some of those things are forbidden, but people take it for granted. They'll just design a label and put it there, send, they want to export. When they're denied permit to export, then they start complaining. But for me, I really understand because maybe the knowledge that hasn't been shared to the core. I think that's why Cabinet is here now. Dad, thank you very much for all you are doing for us. And me personally, I need to thank you publicly because I think even my school all the time was going to body. So you used to pray for me each time I went to enjoy my team and Cabinet. So thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Sani.
Thank you.
This young man, the father and mother, they're still members of our church. He's grown up in this church, but very qualified in terms of certification.
See.
Yeah.
Now, typically, if we go out there and people be saying, we have this product, they don't realize that it's a constraint when you don't have that. Now, we have this inbuilt capacity. We have it. And you see, interesting about this country, there's a lot of know-how out there. What we haven't done is utilize what we've got. You see, I operated in positions where oftentimes you know, I had to deal with consultants from abroad coming into the country. And sometimes you'd look at them.
You are coming from the
well,
Netherlands.
People from different parts of the world have been exposed to. And there were times when you looked at them and thought, you know, Zambians, there are people who can do these things. But we even got to a point where we don't even have enough confidence in ourselves.
You remember, I don't know if you were here, it was lamentable. There is one doctor who was our speaker, I won't mention the name. He said, you know what Camnet is doing, you may not realize, because he trains people from Botswana, from South Africa. They call him, he's a consultant. He goes to train these people. But guess what? He was ashamed to say that Zambia would rather pay for the consultants from South Africa to come and do the work here, which he trained them. But Zambia calls a consultant from...
Look, I'll be honest. Look, I think I got an opportunity and a break, not from my own fellow Zambians, but it was foreigners who gave me a huge responsibility and an opportunity. And it was through that I even got exposed to the operations of government and this economy and etc. But not from my own people. Not from my own people. And it was sometimes it was embarrassing. You would go into meetings with all these Mzungus around you, and they are depending on you, And you get into that meeting, and across there are some Zambians, the officials, and they are looking at the Mzungus. And I mean, the Mzungus are looking at you.
You are the lead.
You see. But that's how we are. It's tragic, but we shouldn't complain. I think there's a history. But to move forward, we have to overcome that, and we have to have more confidence in what we've got. The resource is incredible, what we have, the endowment. But it requires, again, people like yourselves, Pastor. What you have done is you've given a stage to people. You've given a platform. You are giving me a platform now. People are seeing me. You've done that with that conference. And unless you get a platform, people cannot see what you're able to do.
Because, as you have said, I didn't even give you the background. Zambians don't know that by the grace of God, you have worked at a higher level, even getting money from the Dutch government and representing. When they look at you as a simple Kalaluka. This is where my wife and I are very grateful. Like you said, the power of association. You think rubbing shoulders with you people and all those speakers, what kind of a farmer do you think you are producing in your past? Each time I sit down with him and I'm asking him in the area of the company where he's working, Camnet has everything that we can change, and we are going to change Zambia.
You know, one thing is interesting. I was reading a book, Good African Coffee.
Let's pick up this call. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Pastor Shula.
Permanently blessed. What are you saying to the world, sir? What's your name?
Shower from Mungwa.
You are?
Shower.
Shower.
Yes.
From Mumbwa.
Luangwa.
Oh, Luangwa.
I'm a regular listener.
Please go ahead and speak to the world.
Yes, Pastor. I wanted to attend the conference now because of the business schedule that we are having. I'm asking maybe you can assist us with some materials, maybe in terms of DVDs or anything that we can have it. Meetings that you have to listen to that.
That one, Mr. Shawa, I can tell you that I can throw that question to Professor Munkumba, Mr. Mpondela. They are handling that at the secretarial level, and Honorable Schinga and the team Camnet, they are handling that. It's beyond my decision. We have, for the sake of being smart and systematic, as Mr. Kaloka was saying, we formed an organization, that will be able professionally to handle things like that.
All right.
Yeah. So I would, yeah, that's what I'm saying, that I will table it. As a matter of fact, all the professors and doctors and scientists are watching. They have heard what you have said.
I will really have to say.
But have you got a farm, Mr. Shower?
Thank you so much. I've gotten everything. So
Okay.
I'm waiting for that.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, you were saying that you were reading a book.
Now, which one? Oh, yeah, Good African Coffee. So, a book written by a Ugandan guy who decided to start exporting organic coffee to Europe. You started in South Africa, then the UK, then in the US. Now, interestingly, his breakthrough in the US was through a church. Through a church, because he attended this church and there was this conference of this powerful priest, I think in Atlanta, I can't remember which city, and had this conference. And so this guy went and told him, said, look, I want to be marketing African coffee here. And then this pastor linked him to a CEO, because in that church, there were all these big, and that's how he got a break and started supplying also in the US. And when I was reading that, I even thought about it. I said, you know, sometimes people may not, but this man has got a platform. It's a big platform, because what those guys are doing in the US, apparently, so the priests, but they've now created economic engines.
That's
just
right.
that networking. People are going there and it links him to potential buyers, and in the end this guy now enters, penetrates the market like that. The same way that now you are saying these Egyptians come through here and you are linking them into a market. That is power. That is power. That power, even an institution here, we're talking about institutions, they say, no, there's these institutions, they cannot even do that.
Mr. Kalaluka, let me share at
It's
this
commendable.
time, let me share something with the permission of my wife, of course. You know that, let's pick up this call, I'll tell you something. Hello.
Hi, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
Permanently blessed, highly favored by God. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Thank you. I'm Mr. Steve calling from Mondola.
Mr. who?
Mr. Steve.
Mr. Piri
Yes, sir.
from Mondola.
Exactly.
Please go ahead and speak to the nation.
Yeah, just watching the program and yeah, I feel being a youth, I'm really benefiting from that. And it has really come at the right time. Because being a youth, you are grooming me actually. And I could even justify to say, whatever I say, it's right. Especially for last youth, because activity for everyone.
That's right.
So, yeah, I love that program. I wish the books I'm writing don't always have, and the name is called The Monstrous Mind. What you are saying is exactly what I've written in the book. Once it is out, I'll make sure that at least you have the book inside to see what it is like. Yes, the God will greatly bless you, so that you continue to see us faster.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Greetings to you, Mr. Kawa.
Thank you.
Very well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Piri, you were born for greatness.
Thank you.
You know, last week I had a call. One of the parents called and said his 12-year-old son said to the father, Daddy, buy me a farm.
See now,
The boy has
your
been
message.
The boy has been watching this program with the family passionately. He doesn't want a vehicle, he doesn't want
He wants a farm.
12-year-old.
Wow.
And he's very serious.
Wow.
He says, Daddy, buy me a farm.
Wow.
I want to connect with Camnet.
Wow.
I was so blessed to have that. But you know what you were saying, Mr. Kalaluka? I was saying, let me share this. 2 months ago, my wife and I bought the tickets to fly into the States. We were invited to attend this World Conference on Agriculture for millionaires in New Orleans. We bought the tickets. 11th of this month, my wife and I were flying into New Orleans. I spoke to some, my friend linked me up. We spoke to these millionaires. And one of the things someone said, the same gentleman who introduced us, he said, you know, Pastor Chuba, people underestimating what you are, here in the States, we are watching CAMNET passionately.
Yeah.
We are watching CAMNET passionately. Right now, of course, there is no Facebook. There is, you know, this collapse which has done. But tomorrow, the technical people will load it because I know there is stress there. They know that something is happening. So when they phoned us and said there is, after that flood in New Orleans, the conference has been cancelled. So we wrote a letter to Emirates to say, please refund us our tickets. And you have no idea how big this thing has gone, Mr. Kalaluka. And when I sit, I am listening to you people talk. Here are people. Somebody said, Pastor, you are coming to see millionaires. Who will take you and your wife on a chopper to visit the farm and to see what you are talking about? And I'm saying, dear God, I said, this is a government chopper or what? And these are personal. These are people who fly to just to monitor them.
It's more efficient. It's about efficiency.
I'm telling you, I am not sleeping, Mr. Kalaluka. What you are talking about and what these professors and you scientists are talking about, it's always speaking my mind, you know. Of course, somebody may just be watching, but I believe, this is what I think, Mr. Kalaluka. If many people jump on this, and the government giving us a way, 5 years from now, Zambia's GDP will double. I believe that, because there are certain crops, like you heard the people there, that if we plant them even this year, by next year, Zambians will be getting in millions. I introduced somebody to talk about castor. I wasted a lot of time there. I didn't know how strenuous it is, and the people have lost money and all this. But anyway, we are correcting that notion. But coming to what you are saying, the door has opened for us in the US. The door has opened for us in Europe. And the door has opened for us in different parts of the world. But we are maintaining our cool, just letting the people know in Zambia that if we work hard, we will harvest.
Hello.
That is...
there is no way you can... hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where you calling us from?
Chipoya Simon Kayombo.
You are Mr. Chipoya?
Yes, sir.
Chipoya.
I'm calling from Torrezi.
Simon Kayombo.
Yes, sir. Simon Kayombo Chipoya. Yes.
Please go ahead and speak to the world.
Yes, sir. It is true what you are saying, but mainly I don't have many contributions. But I'm so happy that this program is very important to us who want to progress and to bring development to our country. More especially when you talk of this drip irrigation. Drip irrigation is very important because one, it saves water. Two, you become so efficient. And three, it's also labor, it reduces labor. Because of that, that's why we need to support as farmers. We are always wasting more time in doing something which takes more time for us to produce. And when the technology is there, which has been available to us. But the most difficult part is how to access, for sure.
How to access what?
Liquidation there is so expensive. that we cannot even afford. And it's like it's only for some people who are able to afford. But people like us who have passion and we really want to produce, and depending on the people of because farming all year round, that's how we can work. But in most cases, we are denied because the opportunity for us to do more is great, even when we want to. So my contribution is that this program that you have very dependent on who want to do something. I've been one of those who are very much interested. You're asking me to have practical experience. If I do the means and ways that is affordable, and I can manage it. I would love so much that I'm able to do. I'm very passionate to that, very much. And such opportunity, I've decided to go on. I should join the winning team. Sure.
Mr. Chipoya, thank you so much for calling Mr. Kayombo. Mr. Chipoya. It is very good. Please get in touch with Camnet TV call center and just register. Tell them you need drip irrigation, and we are going to, you tell them the size of the land you want, and the size of the land that you have, and then we'll throw it to our able qualified people like Reda and these other scientists, and they will tell you how many meters you need and the gadgets you need, because like we said, you don't have to put fertilizer on your own. You go walking, you just do it from the source. Whatever you want, you pipe it. This is a wonderful drip irrigation, and you need it. I'm so grateful. What would you say, Mr. Nkuruma, for the people, especially the youths, like this one who said, there is this notion that now that UPND is in power, it will create jobs for everyone, and youths think that's the way to go. What would you say to the youths?
Well, I think, first of all, the reality is that the jobs, if they do come, they may not come. They may take time to come. What I would do is simply take my life and my future into my own hands. And the opportunities in entrepreneurship, you've got already a government that has created specifically a ministry for small and medium-sized enterprise. So they're already, I think, in a way signaling that this is what you have got to do, create the opportunity. So when I talk entrepreneurship, farming is an entrepreneurship. Farming is a business. And you have got to look at farming as a business opportunity. Because this country spends millions, hundreds of millions of dollars a year importing horticultural products. Those same fruits, you go into ShopRite, you see oranges coming from South Africa. You see the pears and the apples being imported. That's hundreds of millions of dollars that goes out of the country that we can capture right here in the country. And how much will a seedling cost you? A seedling of let's say an orange seedling, how much is it going to cost you? How much is a seedling for a pear going to cost you? Because now we know that you can grow your pears here. How much is your seedling for whether it is your almond or today I was buying, I think, was that, how many grams of macadamia did I get today? And it was like 80 kwacha or something, very small thing. How much? Yes. So really, that is money you are seeing. All you have to do is walk into ShopRite, go to the fruit section, and look at all of the things that are being sold, the prices that are being sold at. And oftentimes what you find is that the things that are sold at a premium, at a high price, are the things that we're importing. And you have the soils here, you have the water, okay? Even just pawpaws. I've got papayas at home, I've got pawpaws. Pawpaws are very productive, eh? You can have one tree with so many pawpaws.
Yes.
What does it cost you?
During the conference, Professor Reda brought those papayas which start giving you fruits from 50 centimeters. And by the time it's at 2 meters,
Yeah.
he says you must cut it. It has
see?
outlived
It has
you. But it will give you over 150.
That's massive. Because even, and the ones that I'm talking about, just traditional, you go and you find, I've got one tree, maybe has got like 20 of those purpose at a go. Go into a shop, how much are those? People are just packaging them together like this. Sometimes even 60 kwacha, 2 of them. You see what? That is money. So really it all depends on the attitude. If you sit back and wait for Hakainde to give you the jobs, then I think all he has to do is give you the right environment. That's all
Which
you need. Just create just the environment. That's all you need. And then the rest, and when you start, it will be you. You know, I was buying, the other time I was driving to Mplongo now. In Roma, there's a place near the Catholic Church where I've always noticed some plants by the bus stop.
Yes, there.
So I stopped there, and I found this guy with his daughter, with a young girl, which turned out to be the daughter. And I bought all sorts of pine, whatever. And I think by the time I was leaving, I must have left that guy maybe close to 1,500, close to 2,000 kwacha. Okay? And he's working with his daughter. And interestingly, because the first time I went, I was just checking, getting the prices. You know, what is the price range of the things. And then I told him, I'll come the next day. When I went the next day, I found the daughter alone. So I was arguing with her, trying also to get a favorable price for this young girl. So she phones her father. She says, no. So he came cycling very quickly with a bicycle. He found us. So I said, where? He says, no, I'm working. So it turns out he was working somewhere. I suspect one of the houses there. But now, because he's very enterprising, he's now got this basically it's a nursery on the side of the road. And just that one single transaction, almost 2,000 kwacha I left for him. Look at that. What the opportunity.
And you are not the only one.
Yeah. How many people go there? What is the opportunity? And I have found some very responsible boys. Sometimes you are driving and he comes to the window and is even hitting on the window. He's saying he's hungry. He wants money. Can you?
And those are youths.
Yes. Very energetic. So really, the opportunity, that business, but we have got to look at agriculture and farming and gardening. We have to look at it differently. It is an opportunity. And for young people, you know, while you have the energy, that's when you can do it. The tragedy sometimes Zambia has been that most people get into farming when they're old and they even run out of their energy. You are young. You can wake up at 04 and already start digging when it's still cool. By the time it's getting hot around 10, 11, you go playing. In the evening, you go watering again with a hose pipe. Even at the backyard. There was one time I remember I went to Zimbabwe. And we were doing at that point, we had the horticultural event in Zimbabwe. So I took some Zambians and then also with PUM, a Dutch organization. So we linked them with Zimbabweans and we had a big conference there. Now, interestingly, when I was leaving, this lady gave me a lift. She was a banker. And it turned out when she stopped at the house, she had a greenhouse behind her house. In a place like Ablonga in a residential area, she had a greenhouse growing tomatoes. And then she told me that she would quit her job at the bank because now that farming she was doing behind. So she was saying, if only I had land, because she was struggling with that small patch behind the house where she had put a greenhouse. And I even felt ashamed. I said, if I think of the land we have in Zambia, and this person now here in Zimbabwe is saying, if only I have land, and she had put a greenhouse behind
and
a nice house. And she was saying,
and
she says, I'll stop going to the bank. It's better that I do this.
And but somebody wants a job
because you see here the problem sometimes is that we've got this mentality that, you know, this white collar job mentality. We think the most respectable thing is when you wake up in the morning with a jacket like this and you go to the office and you come back in the evening. And yet, haven't you noticed, even our Mzungu friends, you see they are driving around in town with just a couple dollars. They'll just come, drop their children at international school, go back. You see, very practical, with a simple car. But look at the money they have. They can even afford holidays every year.
Can you imagine?
And yet you see, we keep whatever going on strike, fighting, increments. Yeah? But the opportunity is there. So this lady I met in Harare, greenhouse, just at the back of the house in the bank, and she tells me, I'll quit the job at the bank to be doing this because I cannot even supply the shops enough. You see what I mean? Because these retail chains that we have around us, All they want from you is they want assured volumes. They want the right quality and the assured volumes at the right time. And where they get a problem oftentimes with us is that if they tell you, give me 100 tons a week, we fail to deliver that 100 tons. So what happens? They go and buy from South Africa. Why? Because, you know, they look at the transaction cost. The transaction cost for you to be dealing with small suppliers over time is too much. So you go to a bigger supplier. So all we could do is we could aggregate, put things together, and supply. The market is huge.
This is what you people, through the Team Zambia, ComNet, we want to, you remember that list which we are generating? Whoever is in what? ComNet is creating the market right here in Zambia for every Zambian that is in the database. There is no way we can be letting the people grow, then it goes to waste. One of the men who attended the conference, he testified, he's just at his house. He has got a backyard, 16 meters by 16 meters. He says he has put up these nice tomatoes. He delivers 15 boxes every week. 15 boxes. If you multiply that, what does a civil servant get?
Of course. I mean, what I always get impressed is, I think near Arakan Barrack, there's that school, that barrack, there's a school there, and across there, near that National House of Prayer, you know, there are those small houses. You've noticed how
near the Muslim.
How they've utilized those.
Small places.
Small places, how they've utilized. And that is what shows you. That is what shows you. So is there really an excuse? But you see, part of it, I don't want to blame these young people completely, but platforms like ComNet, obviously, they will help to change their culture. Because part of it is they don't even have any background in farming. You see, a long time ago, we used to have production units at primary school. We used to do farming in primary school.
Absolutely.
Yes, in the Kaunda days. There was a period in the day when you'd go to production unit, you wake. When I went to secondary school, my father decided to deport me to a boarding school. He thought I was very naughty, so he took me to Petaoke. We used to work in the field. That Petaoke secondary school, we had farms there like anything. When you're harvesting, you are scratched with maize like anything. But you see, what happened with that kind of thing? It taught you already you had some background. You see, now you're having the kids. What exposure do they have, obviously? If they are just spending the whole day just on the phone playing video games the whole day. So it has to start somewhere also, the orientation. It's interestingly, I've lived in other countries abroad where small children are taken into the forest. Part of the curriculum learning, they take them into the forest. They even know the trees in the country.
Sure.
Small children in Europe, they take them and they even know the trees. So you even feel ashamed that here you are. And if someone even Miombo trees, just to say go, a Mzungu here even knows more about the Zambian trees than you do. So yeah, we can blame these young people, but part of it is to say, how are we preparing them? But even for them, they should not just say we are not to blame. It's never too late because the life is in your hands. Otherwise, they'll just be waiting. 5 years will finish, and they'll be saying, where are the jobs? It's like what I saw in PF1 initially. It was funny. I saw these boys with pockets all over they had put on the trousers. They said, more money in your pocket. So they went to tailors and put these pockets. And then they were expecting that Mr. Michael Sata would put them. Because the sad thing with politics is that you can just go and tell people and you win and forget.
You know, let me also take this advantage to tell the people out there, we have got few seedlings of this papaya from Dr. Reda, very cheap. You can imagine you are getting a 50 kwacha. Those are super. When you eat that papaya, you won't stop eating.
I should even get some.
I said to the people in the conference, nobody lives here, please get a papaya. Even just cooking it at your house. Listen to what this man is doing and what it will be giving you. Even 2 of them, you are sorted. But if you have 10 for 500,
it's an investment. So all you do is just to tend them. You put your manure, your compost there, your water. That's all.
If you say, let me get even 100, you are settled.
That's it.
You are settled. That is very. And I'm saying, somebody says, no, Pastor, capital.
That you go to drink alcohol. Huh? I mean, it's a prioritization.
Let's take up a few text messages, Mr. Director. Sorry for this. I know we are in 2 news time. No phone call, but let's take up some evening, Pastor and Mr. Kalaluka. I'm really encouraged with what you are doing. God bless you. We are behind what you are doing. Albert Mujinga in Lusaka. God bless you, Mr. Mujinga. Pastor and Mr. Kalaluka, you are a blessing to the nation, especially us youths who are building our prosperous future. Tell us the date for the next seminar. We attend, please. Akim in Indola.
Well, so already asking for the
Okay, please add me to CAMNET family. I'm also interested in drip irrigation. Certainly, they will go through tomorrow. I am part of the CAMNET family. I missed the conference. I was sick. My son attended, just arrived from school in China. We are on journey together. Keep it up. Nyangwe from Mazabuka. You are a blessing. We have institutions in our country who have no input but opinions, and it's so stressing. I have ideas and plans already. What I need is empowerment with a drip irrigation system for 100 meters by 100 meters. Please, Pastor. Okay? Taken note of. My director doesn't want us to go in.
Yeah. Okay.
Your last words for the youths, especially, and about this agricultural revolution taking place.
Yeah, well, I think that with the youth, really the future is in your hands. You cannot really give any excuses. I mean, sometimes, and there comes a time in life when you know that no one will do things for you, or people may do things for you, but a big part of your success relies on what you yourself are going to do. Mm-hmm. The jobs are not there. Mm-hmm. But agriculture really should be viewed more as an entrepreneurship opportunity. It is an opportunity. It's a business opportunity. And what I would say is that sometimes alone it might be challenging for you to achieve, but together and as a collective, as a part of a family, you can be able to realize that which you want to achieve. Mm-hmm. I think that through what Pastor Chilva is doing and what we all are trying in a small way, that be part of this. Mm. What I would challenge you to do is be part of this initiative. Mm. Because when you work together with other people, you may get the support that probably you lack alone, and you too may make a contribution. Absolutely. And together we can bring about that transformation, one in your personal life, but then also in the nation. Remember that transformation, first of all, has to start internally. It has to start internally, then it goes to exterior outside, and then it goes to the whole nation. But just as it starts internally, one of the things I really, really want to impress upon you, young people, is to say, look, your attitude matters. What you think is extremely important. Somebody was saying what you visualize, you materialize. But you don't just visualize and materialize it without you yourself becoming the change agent that you need to be to achieve the results that you want. So please embrace the right attitude. Embrace the right spirit, embrace the right approach, and join the right people. Associate with the people who are also progressive, and CAMNET is one of those progressive groups that you can. And through that approach, I'm pretty sure that you achieve the greatness. Like Pastor always says, you were born for greatness, and you have to realize that greatness.
Absolutely. Well, dear CAMNET TV viewers, CAMNET family, there is a revolution that has begun in this nation. Thank you to all the CAMNET TV members. family. We call you Team Zambia. If you are not part of the Team Camnet database, please join. And there are a lot of things that these men and women are planning. It is just awesome. We believe that through this platform, we are able to proudly say that within 4-5 years, we should be producing millionaires. And we've got all these experts to guide you from step 1 to step 2. On behalf of my wife, the CEO of this company, of course, on behalf of the technical team that labors from day to day, the news people, on behalf of the leadership of the church, and especially on behalf of you, Camnet TV viewers, remember, you were born for greatness. Zambia is a country positioned for greatness. As Mr. Kalaluka is saying, let's be change agents. Keep watching Camnet TV, and remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel. Bye-bye.
Bye.